Hi everyone, I'm Olivier Ponty, VP for Insights at ForwardKeys, and it's my pleasure to be back for this new edition of ForwardKeys and Friends, which will also be the last one of 2020. This year has been very challenging for the travel sector and has pushed many of us to be more creative than ever to save our businesses and reinvent our destinations. In many cases, the crisis has also led to a higher degree of professionalism and has stressed the importance of the smart use of good data. The whole point of this webinar series is to ask one of our industry friends to tell us how they use data to be better at whatever they're doing. Our guest today is no other than Bruno Marques from the Martinique Tourism Committee. Bruno has been director of the Tourism Statistical Observation Department for 5 years now, but his passion for data is much older than that. In a previous professional life, Bruno was teaching economics and tourism economics at the university, and he can boast an impressive 30 years of experience dealing with this topic, both as a professional and as an academic. Bruno, it's an honor to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Olivier, and good morning to everybody from Martinique, the French island of the West Indies. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Bruno. Now, before we start, our two usual housekeeping remarks. One, you will receive the recording of this webinar and the PowerPoint presentation by email. And two, we will have time for questions after Bruno's presentation, but don't wait until the Q&A starts to start asking questions using the question button. Bruno, I will now switch off my camera and leave you the stage. We'll see each other for the Q&A. Good luck.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the ForwardKeys team for inviting the Martinique Tourism Committee to share with you how we use ForwardKeys tools in different let's say, fields. My presentation deals with the way how we in the Martinique Tourism Committee, we intend to use, how we manage the data provided by ForwardKeys in order to improve our statistical observation system and also to improve our marketing. Before we start, I will take a couple of minutes in order to explain you why we contracted with ForwardKeys. I think that if you know why we contracted with them, you will better understand how we use their informations. Okay, I pass the slide. 5 years ago, when we contracted with ForwardKeys, we had a clear view of what we needed on the statistical fields, on the marketing fields, and on a mix of marketing and statistics. On the marketing fields, our first necessity was to have monthly arrival estimate very rapidly, especially in the months not covered by our yearly visitor survey. Secondly, we need an independent source of estimating tourism arrivals in order to compare it with our own estimation from our annual visitor survey. For the marketing, we need at the moment precise, and I will say tactical information to better know the behavior of the clientele in order to ameliorate our campaign, our marketing campaign. Also, we need to keep an eye on the on our island competitors, and mainly Guadeloupe. For the statistical and marketing mix, telephone, sorry. For the marketing mix, What we need was a view on the future in order to make some forecasts. We need information on bookings, and we need information on the airline seats program for the destination. Now you know why we contracted with ForwardKeys, and it will help you to follow the rest of the presentation. The presentation is divided in two sections, very simply in two sections. First section will deal with how we use ForwardKeys for marketing purposes, and the second section, normally, as I just mentioned it, how we use it for statistics purposes. Let's go first with the first section. The use of ForwardKeys, what ForwardKeys brings us in the Tourism Martinique Committee, it's that it allows the statistical department to deliver three products: a monthly report, a ForwardKeys product on demand, and a campaign efficiency package. Let's begin by the monthly reports. Each month, the statistical department sends a report to the marketing team in order to give them a view on what happened recently on the market and what will happen potentially on the market. On the slide, you have the first part of this report, the table of the first part of the report. It is composed of arrivals from last month, arrival from the beginning of the year, and arrivals on the last 12 months. All those informations are from ForwardKeys dashboards. The arrivals are also distributed by markets. They are distributed by channel of distribution channel, and also you have at the end in the lower frame you have the arrivals from Guadeloupe compared with that of Martinique. Those arrivals are what ForwardKeys called actual air reservation. It means reservation and real arrival coming from the GDS. These arrivals are not the total arrival of Martinique, and they're just a part generated by GDS reservation. In Martinique, this actual reservation represents 42%, between 40 and 45%, depends on the months. It represents, let's say, 45% of arrivals. But this arrival and the way they are distributed give the marketing team a good view on the trends of the market. Nevertheless, the reports includes also total arrival with the total market option of ForwardKeys. So at the end of the month, we have real arrival, actual arrival, and we have an estimate of arrival, both coming from ForwardKeys. The second part of the report is devoted to the future. It gives reservation on the 3 and 6 future months distributed by market and distributed, and you have also the reservation for our main competitor, Guadeloupe. The intended goals of this report is to trigger discussion, is to trigger exchange between the two departments, the statistical department and the marketing department, because we have different view of interpreting data. And this report is a way to have, let's say, a medium interpretation of what to do and what happened. Let's pass now to the second product. The second product, it's what we call an on-demand ForwardKeys possibility. The Marketing Tourism Committee gives to all professionals coming from the tourism sector to have the possibility to come in our office and to view the different dashboard of ForwardKeys. The objective is to give them a possibility to ameliorate their marketing. What we notice during these 5 years is that it's hotel sector, it's hotel and accommodation sector which are the more interested in having this information. Also, we have some travel agent acting as ground operators for tour operators. They are interested in those dashboards, in those tables. In fact, they want to see if they are in tune with the market. They want to see if their reservation, their arrivals are not too far up or down of the market. As a matter of fact, we can say that this product is a public contribution to the sector in order to give them the possibility, as I mentioned it, to ameliorate their marketing, because this product is free and have the possibility to come and see it. The third product for the marketing objectives is what we call a campaign efficiency package. What is a campaign efficiency package? It is a set of statistics that the statistical department hold at the disposal of the marketing department in order to help them, to give them the possibility to build their campaign, the marketing campaign. So they need information before the campaign, they need information during the campaign, and of course after the campaign. Those statistics coming from ForwardKeys are the following. In the pre-campaign period, you have length of stay, tax per booking, lead time reservation, and day of travel, in order, of course, to target the clientele that we want to campaign. During the campaign, the marketing department is very interested in having the first reaction of the market. And at that moment, we can give them very short-term information, very short-term booking information by week, so they can adjust the marketing plan. Of course, at the end of the campaign and distributed according to the targeted clientele, we give them, the statistical system, we give them all the information after, it means the arrival, so they can check if the campaign is successful or not. I just forget to mention that it is campaign in the real world or campaign in the internet. What this experience with ForwardKeys bring to us? We draw from this using of ForwardKeys three lessons. The first lesson, ForwardKeys is a tool that can strengthen, that can reinforce the links, the relation between statistical department and the marketing department. Of course, statistical department, statisticians, economists have a different view, have a different reading of the figures. And in fact, what is very good is that we can stay on the same table, having the same fact, the same figures, and then discuss to exchange our point of view and find a medium interpretation. The second lesson from the using of ForwardKeys is that the marketing team are not very interested in absolute figures. What is their interest is variation. They need to know how it changes, how the market evolves. The third lesson from using ForwardKeys is how can say it? Unidimensional distribution, unidimensional statistics provided by ForwardKeys for us is not enough. What we need, what we would like to have, and we are working on that with the ForwardKeys teams, we have discussion about that, is to have bidimensional statistics. You know, the bidimensional table, bidimensional distribution with columns and the line in order to have cross statistics for a better knowing, a better comprehension of the market. This slides ends up the first part of the presentation, and now we go to the second section. The second section is devoted, as mentioned, to the use we have on ForwardKeys. The use we have with ForwardKeys on the statistical fields. The use we have for us, ForwardKeys is a complement to our statistical observation system. It gives us more information in order to ameliorate what we produce in terms of statistics in three areas. First, ForwardKeys provide us monthly arrival estimates. Second, ForwardKeys is an independent source for arrival statistics. And also, third, it is a tool for forecasting. We will show each of these possibilities. Monthly arrival estimates. On the demand side, our statistical system is mainly based on our yearly survey. It is advanced visitor expense motivation and demographic survey, and it also gives us an estimate of arrivals. This survey is implemented during 6 months. So during the 6 other months, we have gaps. And usually what we do with the gaps, we make extrapolation for estimating all arrival. It's not enough for us. So we contracted with ForwardKeys. They bring us this total market option that give us monthly arrival, total monthly arrival. Then we use their information in order to produce our own econometrical estimate. We estimate with econometrical method a function, the parameter of a function, mixing past arrival is ARRT less, past arrival, past estimates, and also we use the IAAR, it means the actual air arrivals in order to build this estimation. In fact, ForwardKeys allow us to mix real data, actual data with past estimates. That's the first use of ForwardKeys. The second use is we use ForwardKeys as an independent source of global estimate, annual estimates of arrival in Martinique. The Martinique Tourism Committee is the only provider of information, of tourist arrival information. And so, because we are also the one implementing the policy, the tourism policy, our results are very often questioned on their reliability, truthfulness, etc. So it was absolutely vital to us to have an independent source in order to compare it with our own estimates coming from the yearly survey. As you can see on the slide, fortunately or not, fortunately, the difference is very low between our estimates and the one of ForwardKeys. The difference is 2.8%, 0.48%. And this morning, I just compared with the October and make the sum, the difference is 0.3%. So it is absolutely vital to have these two possibilities. And each year we have our own possibilities, the possibility of ForwardKeys. And as you can see, we are in the what statisticians call the random confidence interval. Third product, forecast. ForwardKeys provide us with 3 indicators in order to make our own forecast. Bookings, which is potential future arrivals. Maturity, which is the ratio of booking on past arrival of the previous year. It's measure how far you are from your past year results. And seat capacity programmed by airlines. On the same way, we use econometrical method to mix this information to assess, to estimate the different parameters that can allow us to make our own forecast with booking, with maturity, and with the seat capacity. In fact, what Ford brings us is the capacity to make forecasts based on real data, and that's for us a very good thing. And as we can refresh the estimating very often, so the statistical fit is better. What are now, and to finish, not far from finish, the learning we drove from using ForwardKeys. Of course, independent estimates of tourists, monthly arrival estimates, and what is more important for us is that our forecast with ForwardKeys can mix big data and survey. And according to the former prof I was, it's a good thing to have two methods to approach to base our focus. Finally, and it will be the last slide, what we can say generally speaking after this after using ForwardKeys during 5 years. I will say two things. ForwardKeys is a good interface for using big data. Imagine, for example, all of you, we have to collect all this information from the GDS. It will be very difficult to put them in a memory and to manage them, to compute with them. So ForwardKeys is a good interface in using big data. And I will say more simply that this interface, ForwardKeys, make big data simple and for us simpler. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for this presentation, Bruno. While we leave the audience a little moment to think about questions they would like to ask, I'd like to mention that the Martinique Tourism Committee uses the following ForwardKeys datasets and services: actual air reservations, seat capacity, total air market, and ForwardKeys Nexus. If you'd like to know more about these datasets, don't hesitate to contact us at webinar@forwardkeys.com. Now, Bruno, let me kick off the Q&A session with a remark and a question. It's really interesting to see how you combine different research tools to better understand travel to La Martinique, because it really feels like you're combining the different pieces of a jigsaw puzzle to get the full picture. So how did you manage to get support from your organization to develop such a comprehensive observation system? And as an aside, I'd be curious to know how you managed to conduct your visitor survey during the COVID pandemic.
The organization is very interested in having those information, and I have one thing to say: I'm alone in the observatory. So we are very interested in having the whole statistic. For us, figures is absolutely important. One thing that you mentioned during the COVID, we have no possibility to implement our own survey. And at that moment, the only view, the only eye that we have on the market was from ForwardKeys dashboard. So at that moment, we can see especially actual reservation, and we have the total market. So we have only, but fortunately only, the big data information. And then now our survey going back, we can compare, and thank you for buying here at that moment. We were the only eye on the market first.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm glad we could help. I've seen you.
Repeat it. Sure.
Fantastic to hear. Fantastic to hear. You're putting a lot of efforts to make data accessible to local tourism businesses. How is this perceived by these businesses? How do you know that the data is relevant for them?
Frankly, I don't know what they do with the data after coming in the office. But one thing I'm sure, some of them come back very often. So I suppose that they need to have this eye on the market. They come back and we have discussion. What they do after, I don't know. But as I mentioned, they come back. It's the good indicator of the usefulness of the way we practice it.
Mm-hmm. That's a very practical, not very scientific way of measuring the benefit, but it's very telling, I guess, of the value of the data. Do you think that COVID has made data more important than before, especially for those small businesses or local tourism businesses?
I forgot to mention that the report, the table of the report, is also published in on the website of the Martinique Tourism Committee. I think, and internally, it's absolutely important. And I'm the statistical department, and I'm questioned very often by the marketing sorry, the marketing team, but also by the director. So data, big data is important. For us, we cannot manage the tourism organization, the tourism campaigning outside, the tourism promoting outside without data.
Okay, I mean you've been working within this field for many years, as I mentioned during the introduction. So you've got really a large experience on these matters. What would be your piece of advice to some other destination marketing organizations worldwide who are not as advanced as you are with their business intelligence system? But who would like to get started? What would you recommend them to do or not to do if there's a tip in the form of a mistake to avoid, maybe a hard-learned lesson?
First lesson is to know what you need and what you need for what. What and for what? That is the first question for the other organization. I need data, but to do what? In order for those data to be very opposite, there is very useful in using and to use it, not to have it to have it. That's a nonsense. But if you have data, you know to know why. It's because I began the presentation, why. That's the first thing. The second thing, if you have those data, try to use them and to publish them, not only internally, but also externally. Because, of course, our organization have the way to use data. We have a marketing campaign. But if you can put them, if you can give them to the professional at the microeconomic level, I think it's a good thing for them to have this information in order for them to improve their day-to-day practice in marketing and eventually in statistics. It's important for them to know, am I in tune? Am I good in the market? So I just see a decrease in my sales. Why? Then they have the information. Why? And publish it.
Okay, I think this is a very practical tip that's indeed helpful for businesses across the board. Asking this why question is absolutely essential. And thinking about your previous work experience, working with students at university, is there any piece of advice you would like to give to students who may be interested in starting a career, not only in the tourism sector as a whole, but in market intelligence related activities? Do you think there are some opportunities there for the years to come?
As I say to generally I was saying to the students, go the farthest as you can. Doctorate first. Then data is important, but the theory with data is also important. To understand data, it's true for students, but it's true also for, let's say, organization. Data is important, but you need a frame, a theoretical frame to understand the data. So get the more in-depth knowledge of your sector. By it, marketing, tourism, if you can mix them, it's better, but you know to have a frame to interpret the data. That's absolutely important. And when I mention the link between marketing sector, marketing team, and statistical team, it's one of a success of that. Different person have different interpretation. You have different theoretical frame. Data can join people and make them have medium appreciation of the situation.
Thank you so much, Bruno. I think this will be the word of the end. We've reached the end of our time together. Really, thank you for sharing these insights and your experience with us and with all the people watching this video and attending this webinar. I wish you good luck in La Martinique for the coming months. Busy times ahead for you, I hope. And I would like to thank the audience for attending this webinar, which, as I said earlier, was the last of the year 2021, and we very much look forward to seeing you again for our January edition of ForwardKeys and Friends. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Olivier. Thank you, ForwardKeys, and thank you to all of you.